Every other species on this planet fits. Fish have gills. Birds have hollow bones. Polar bears have fur so thick it traps heat at -40 degrees. Every animal on Earth looks like it was designed for the place it lives. And then there's you. You burn in your own sunlight. Your spine is slowly falling apart. You give birth in a process so dangerous it kills more humans than almost any other natural event. And you're the only species on this planet that lies awake at night wondering why you exist. That's not normal. That's not what evolution is supposed to produce. And the question nobody wants to take seriously is this. What if we don't belong here? Start with something simple. Sunlight. Lizards sit in direct sun for hours. Dogs, cats, horses, elephants, they spend their entire lives under the same star we do, and they handle it perfectly. Their fur, their scales, their pigmentation are all calibrated precisely for our sun. Ours isn't. We literally had to invent a chemical paste and rub it on ourselves just to go outside safely. Think about what that means. We invented sunscreen because our own star is trying to kill us. Every other animal on this planet gets to walk outside for free. Then there's your back. 80% of humans will experience chronic back pain at some point in their lives. When 4 out of 5 members of a species share the same structural failure, you stop blaming individuals and start looking at the blueprint. Our spines are essentially a horizontal bridge that evolution tried to stand upright roughly 6 million years ago. The discs between our vertebrae compress under gravity in ways they were never designed to handle. Other bipedal animals like kangaroos and ostriches don't have this problem. Their bodies were built from the ground up for standing. Ours were retrofitted badly, and we've been paying for it ever since. Then there's childbirth. Human birth is the most dangerous delivery process of any mammal on Earth. Our babies' heads are so large they barely fit through the birth canal. Before modern medicine, giving birth was one of the leading causes of death for women throughout all of human history. No other species routinely dies trying to deliver healthy offspring. A horse gives birth in 30 minutes. The foal stands and walks within the hour. A human baby can't hold its own head up for months. We arrive completely helpless, dependent on others for years, more physically useless at birth than any other animal that has ever existed on this planet. And then there are allergies. Your immune system has one job: protect you from genuine threats. But in roughly 30% of humans, this system goes to war against things that are completely harmless. Pollen, peanuts, dust, cat hair, shellfish. Your own defense system is attacking the air you breathe and the food you eat. Either evolution made a serious mistake, or your body is calibrated for a different environment entirely. But the strangest evidence isn't physical. It's psychological. No other animal on Earth knows it's going to die. Dogs don't lie awake wondering what happens after death. Dolphins don't have existential crises. Elephants don't build religions to cope with the terror of mortality. But we do. Every single civilization in human history has done this. We build temples. We write philosophies. We construct entire belief systems organized around the question of what happens when we stop existing. Why would evolution produce that? What survival advantage does existential dread actually provide? For most of human history, the awareness of death has driven people to despair, to madness, to war. It feels less like an adaptation and more like a glitch. Conscious enough to sense something is wrong, but unable to figure out what. And then there's the most uncomfortable one. Every species on this planet exists in some kind of balance with its ecosystem. Predators keep prey in check. Prey keeps plant life in check. Decomposers cycle nutrients back into the soil. It's a closed loop. Everybody plays their part. Except us. We clear-cut forests. We poison rivers. We pump the atmosphere full of gases that destabilize the climate. We've driven thousands of species to extinction, and we are not close to slowing down. We're not participating in Earth's ecosystem. We're dismantling it. And if you think about that honestly, that is exactly what you'd expect from something that wasn't built for this place. Something that doesn't know the rules, because the rules were never written for it. So where does this leave us? In 1973, Francis Crick published a paper that deserved more attention than it got. Crick is not a fringe figure. He won the Nobel Prize in 1962 for decoding the structure of DNA, one of the most important scientific discoveries in human history. And in that 1973 paper, written with chemist Leslie Orgel, he proposed something that sounds almost impossible. He called it directed panspermia, the idea that life on Earth didn't originate here, that it was deliberately seeded by an intelligent civilization from somewhere else in the galaxy. The man who decoded the molecule of life looked at the story of life on Earth and said he wasn't sure it added up. And some of what he was looking at is genuinely hard to dismiss. Life appeared on Earth roughly 3.8 billion years ago. The planet itself is only about 4.5 billion years old. That means complex organic chemistry emerged just 700 million years after Earth formed. In geological time, that's almost immediate. The planet was still being hammered by asteroids, still cooling from a molten hellscape of rock and toxic gas. And somehow, life appeared almost the second conditions could barely support it. Biologists have always found that timing suspicious. Then there's the Murchison meteorite. In 1969, a rock from space crashed into southeastern Australia. When scientists cracked it open, they found over 90 different amino acids inside, the building blocks of life, riding through space on a rock. Some of those amino acids are the exact same ones found in every living thing on Earth. We also know life can survive out there. Tardigrades, the microscopic eight-legged animals that look like tiny gummy bears, have been exposed to the vacuum of space, to cosmic radiation, to temperatures approaching absolute zero, and they survived. In 2019, an Israeli spacecraft carrying tardigrades crashed on the moon. Scientists believe some of them may still be viable on the lunar surface right now. Life doesn't just exist on Earth. It can travel between worlds. Now, mainstream biology does have answers for most of the physical evidence, and those answers are worth taking seriously. Back pain. We only started walking upright about 6 million years ago. That sounds ancient, but evolution moves slowly. Our spines simply haven't had enough generations to fully optimize for standing. We're walking around in a prototype that never received its final update. The sunburn. We lost our body hair, probably for thermoregulation. When our ancestors moved from forests onto open savannas, they needed to cool down while running long distances under the African sun. Sweat works far better on bare skin than through fur. We traded our protective coat for the ability to outrun almost every other animal on Earth. The sunburn is just the cost. Childbirth. Our brains got bigger faster than our birth canals could keep up. Scientists call this the obstetric dilemma. Evolution was simultaneously trying to make us more intelligent and keep us walking upright, and the pelvis got caught in the middle. Even environmental destruction has a rational explanation. We evolved in small groups on the savanna, where resources seemed essentially unlimited relative to how few of us there were. Our brains are wired for short-term survival, not planetary management. We're not alien invaders. We're just an animal that got far too powerful, far too fast for its own nervous system to handle. These explanations are real. They're well supported. They probably account for most of what we're looking at. But even after all of them, one thing remains that evolutionary biology still cannot fully explain: the speed. No species in the 4 billion year history of life on Earth has ever done what we did. Dolphins have been around for roughly 50 million years. They're intelligent. They have complex social lives. They communicate. And in all that time, they have never built a single tool. Not one. Chimpanzees figured out sticks about 4 million years ago and have not filed a single upgrade since. And then there's us. We went from sharpened rocks to nuclear weapons in roughly 2 million years. From fire to the International Space Station. From cave paintings to artificial intelligence. 200 years ago, there were no railroads. 125 years ago, airplanes didn't exist. 75 years ago, no human had been to space. 35 years ago, there was no internet. Nothing in the entire history of life on this planet has ever accelerated like that. Scientists have proposed explanations. Language. Cooking, which gave us more calories and let our brains grow larger. a mutation in a gene called FOXP2 that may have unlocked complex speech, the ability to teach, to stack knowledge across generations, so each one begins where the last left off. All of those probably played a role, but none of them fully explains the speed. Modern evolutionary biology can account for pieces of it. Not the whole picture. Not yet. So here's where we actually are. It's probably not true that we're aliens. The evolutionary evidence is strong. Mismatch theory handles most of the strange things about our bodies. We're almost certainly a product of this planet, shaped by the same forces that shaped everything else here. But almost certainly is not the same as definitely. And when one of the most important scientists who ever lived looked at the evidence and said something here doesn't quite add up, that is not conspiracy thinking. That's science doing exactly what science is supposed to do. Asking uncomfortable questions and being honest when the answers don't come out clean. We're the only species that burns in its own sunlight, breaks under its own gravity, and cannot stop looking at the sky, wondering where we really came from. If we are from here, we are the strangest thing this planet has ever produced. And if we're not, then we've been trying to find our way home for 200,000 years. And we don't even know it.